Is your child's education more important than going to the beach? Of course it is. Take a day, go to that school, volunteer. If you've got a business, partner with the school. You know, I mean, we're all in this collectively. Lacking that collective effort, we're not going to change the culture. That's why I say all of us have a part to play.
Let me ask a question about yesterday. I guess in the last couple of days, the U.S. Supreme Court opining that the restrictions on corporations and unions in terms of dollars being spent on campaigns was unconstitutional. Therefore, now there's an unlimited amount of money that corporations and unions can spend on any given campaign. When we start with you, Governor Ramsey, that could easily play into the governor's race. What do you think about what the Supreme Court did?
I'll back up. I'm going to take a Bill Dunn privilege to back up on the question before this, okay? So, that's what I am. But because what Greg asked back here, the cultural change and how we get parents more involved. The governor gave an interesting statistic when he gave his speech on education when we opened up with the joint session, that we out of 100 students that graduate from high school, 44 of them go to college, but only 19 stay. And if we could just get those out of those 19 get half of those 44 to stay, we've honestly about solved the problem. And so then you have to examine why do they enroll but don't stay. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And I'm going to get onto this. I promise I haven't just thought on this, but first of all, we don't have that seamless system of the students that start into two-year schools or into community colleges, and then they continue on to four-year schools. Every one of us up here has had that phone call from a frustrated parent or a frustrated student that's paid their tuition in a community college, assuming the classes they were going to take were going to transfer to four-year school. We've got to do better on that to get these classes to transfer, and that's what we're talking about. We want input from the faculty, but we have to do better. The second thing is we're going to let the universities have a little say in this too, because right now, before this week, every university was rewarded through their funding simply by the number of students they got on their campus, period. That's the only way we calculate this. The more students you got on your campus, the more funding that college got. Nothing was tied to outcome. And so we've tied a little bit, only about 10% right here, where we ended up on the end or something like that, to outcome to say, look, you need to get your graduation rates up too, and a portion of your funding is going to be coming from that. And I hope we start inching that down just a little bit from 10 or up from 10% onto another figure. So that addresses that on how we change the cultural change. We've got 44 out of 100 kids going to school now. Let's figure out a way of keeping them there. That solves part of the problem. Then we'll get in over to educate the parents too. Okay. The Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court actually, the way I understand, they ruled that independent expenditures only can now come from corporations and unions. Keep in mind, corporations still in the state of Tennessee can't contribute to our campaigns, can't contribute to the party, can't contribute to PAC, can't contribute to caucuses, only through independent expenditures. And let me assure you that the rules are strict on that. I mean, a corporation or a union can run an ad and say, please vote for Ron Ramsey because he's pro-business or whatever, or please look at Ron Ramsey. Actually, I'm sure you can say vote for him. You can say, but anyway, so there are still some restrictions there on how much corporations can spend. But I'm one who's always contended that really where we need to be heading anyway is just full disclosure. That I think some of the laws we have are adequate. In the world that we live in now, there's no reason with the internet that we have and everything else that we have that we shouldn't be able to have posted online in some form or fashion, 72 hours, 48 hours, whatever number we want to pick. That number, we should be posted online what the contributions are to our campaigns. We've set these artificial limits on campaigns on how much money people can contribute to a campaign. And what it really does, I go through this every day in my gubernatorial campaign. I live on the telephone asking people to contribute to my campaign when I should be out here knocking on doors, going to bean suppers, going to events like this, but 3/4 of my time is spent on the phone. Very counterproductive. So I think we've got these adequate laws on the books anyway as far as disclosures and limits and things like that. We ought to be able to tell you exactly who gives to us and how much and almost overnight. And then let the public decide is that right or wrong. So is there going to be a sea change from this law? Probably not, because they can't contribute to us directly, can't contribute to the party, can't contribute to the caucus, and it's going to take somebody out of the consultants are the ones who are going to make a lot of money off this, because they're going to be out here trying to gin up the support from corporations and unions to help candidates in a roundabout way to independent expenditures.
Anybody want to challenge that thought? Will it make a sea change or not? Anybody? Harry?
I don't have strong opinions on it. It's a very new decision, but I think we have to let it unfold and see what happens at this point. You know, right now individuals can make unlimited expenditures, and it doesn't happen a lot or very frequently at all. You know, some corporations, go out to the West Coast, Microsoft, Apple, Google, there's some very wealthy people out there, and so, it doesn't always necessarily have to be a pro-business expenditure from a corporation, I think, and so, union money, the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, so I think we got to see how people utilize it. I know that the citizen activists basically see this as a call for total control and public financing. I don't see that happening in Tennessee. I think we've got to let this unfold and see where it goes, but it's going to change the game, I think. Somebody's going to use it somewhere.
Doug?
Well, I haven't read the opinion yet, and I really want to read the opinion. I wonder if it goes as far as some of the folks I've heard on talk radio says it goes as far. But one of the things that's been rolling around in my head, and I can't say I've come to any concrete thoughts about it though, is one of the things you learn in law school is that corporations are a legal fiction. Corporations are not natural persons. We have corporations by virtue of laws that allow us to create things called corporations. And what's been, David, I see you're smiling, and I think you probably know where I'm going, but what's interesting to me is, do corporations have personal rights? And that's what I'm interested to see, is how the Supreme Court has reasoned through whether creatures of fiction and how creatures of fiction have First Amendment rights. And I'm just interested to read the opinion to see what they say about that, because that's got to work through several different layers of jurisprudence and constitutional theory. We can all understand how, Gene, you have First Amendment rights and privileges, and all of us do as individuals, but do corporations have those same rights and privileges? And that's something I'm looking forward to reading the opinion and seeing how the Supreme Court has handled all of that.
Yes?
Would you extend that question to unions?
To the extent they're incorporated. Now, there may be entities that are we have associations don't have to be incorporated. National Football League is one of the prime examples, or at least it was. I haven't looked at that lately, but it used to be an unincorporated association. Many churches are unincorporated. Partnerships, general partnerships, don't need any act of the legislature to form. General partnerships, they're comprised of natural people. So I'm not trying to get that deep into jurisprudence, but it's kind of interesting when you start saying something that is a legal fiction has constitutional rights. And I just,
Other questions?